What is up, everyone? It's been a long time since I've been here with time to work on this. It's frustrating me. It's been sitting there for, I don't know, it must be like 5 or 6 months now. I haven't touched it. I've been too busy. And now I'm getting stuck into it. I've got some motivation and a little bit of time. As you can see, putting my Factor 55 soft shackles to good use. It was a couple inches short there, so you know, just had to chuck the other one on. That's got the weight of the truck. Shocks are disconnected, panhards out, links are out. So that means that it's time for the front axle to come out. I've got a high pinion front to go in it. I've got some RCV chromoly axles to go into it. And while it's out, I'm going to truss it and gusset the knuckles and potentially look at shaving the drain plug, etc. So yeah, I've got a jig for doing this stuff. So basically, time to pull her apart, clean her up. And then once I get that all sorted, ready to party, and put it back in. And I've got Lee at Advanced Creations. He's making me up some arms that I started. He's sort of finishing them off for me because he's got the machinery to make it way easier than doing it by hand. So he's doing that for me. Once I get those back, then I can start mounting my hydro steer. Once I've got the hydro steer in place, then I can change my panhard mount. I've been waiting to get all the other stuff done before I did that. Make it a little bit longer and change the roll center a little bit. And then the front end is like, it's really starting to get there. And after that, I'm gonna look at, I've got to fix my sump. I'm making like custom oil pickup for the sump, and because the other sump I was going to run doesn't fit, as we covered that in a previous episode. And so basically going to make that work, put that together, put the motor in, then I can start working out the fueling system, the cooling system, getting the turbo on, exhaust made, etc, etc. And the other cool thing that's turned up, I haven't been working on the truck, but I have been collecting bits, right? So finally had my cage joiners turn up from Ruffstuff. I had the other style, like a tube joiner, which I really love. These ones in here, but they kind of just sit together, like, and yeah, I just didn't feel safe using them in a roll cage scenario. So these ones here are really trick. You weld obviously in here and in here. You undo these two cap screws and the inner piece slides out. They're a trick piece of kit, so watch out for those in an upcoming video when I get around to doing that. But yeah, basically I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of working on this pile of crap so I can take it out and wheel it, because that other thing that we bought keeps letting me down and it's frustrating me. So yeah, it was too much of a distraction anyway. It might be time for it to find a new home. We'll see about that. But for now, I'm going to get stuck into this and get this axle onto my jig. So, as you can see, there's a couple of adjustments that needed to be made. This is basically what I've built for an axle jig. a 20-ton hydraulic jack, and then basically nice and easy, they just lock around there, a couple of bolts. But what had happened is I had built this originally. I did a 80 series housing, and I've used it for a bunch of other things, hence why there's random mounts in there. I hadn't fit Hilux in there, and the knuckleball was hitting, so I just had to quickly trim that up, and now it's universal-ish. So what we're going to do, strip it back. I want to put a truss on it, and probably there's something across there, and then the knuckle gussets obviously going in there, which I believe I already have. Rightio, these are slightly the wrong shape because I had to use 2 of each on another job I did, so I've got a bunch of bottoms, but that's alright. We can modify to suit, but yeah, nice and easy from Ruffstuff, off the shelf. They go on, obviously nice prepared for your knuckleball, and then they sit in there and provide a bunch of strength. Definitely worth doing if you're going to be playing with axles. Now, one thing, it's top secret. BNG at Ramp Customs taught me this. I probably shouldn't, share all the secrets, but I'm going to. Because I see a lot of people, they put trusses on and they just weld the damn things on, right? And that's the easiest way for your tubes to bend this way, that way, whichever way they want. Basically, this is why I've built a jig, to do things properly. I take things seriously, especially when it's customers' jobs, etc. I literally built this jig to do a customer's job. And I knew I'd use it later on for other things, or multiple axles, whatever. But basically, what you want to do is pre-bend this housing, and then when you weld it, it pulls itself straight. Right? Sounds simple. A lot of people just, well, some people do the tack method, or weld an inch, and then, as they say on Pirate, weld an inch, drink a beer. Weld an inch, drink a beer. Long night, and probably a hard morning too, but that way could work. It does work. You just have to spread the heat evenly. You put too much heat in anything with welding, and it's just going to distort. No matter how good you are, it's going to happen. Yeah, so that's why I've got the jig. It's in there, and that's going out. And I have this high pinion sitting here out of a LJ78 Prado. And inside here we have some RCV chromoly axles. So I'm going to put them inside this, and we're going to be good to go for the first few minutes until those mud traps decide they want to eat the axles or the crown wheel or something. But we're going to find out the hard way. I'm going to do a couple of mods while I'm in here. I'll run you guys through them. A couple of cool little mods that make your Toyota axles way stronger. And I'll show you my custom arms once I get them back from Lee at Advanced Creations, because I'm doing some trickery. We're doing some upgrades, we're making them beefier, making them stronger, and I'm going to put them to the test. I figure this is the perfect time and perfect truck to test it on. Those mud traps, I've seen them destroy portal gears, I've seen them wreck a bunch of things. So we're going to put a few theories to the test here, and we're going to see what the end result is. Anyways, that's probably enough for me rambling tonight. Sorry, I'm like, it's almost exciting to be working on this again because it's been so long. As you can see, she's a hovercraft with a pile of crap that I need to clean up. We will get there. Thank you for watching. Sorry it's been so long, and hopefully we can get back into the swing of things and get this silly pile of junk finished and out in the mud where it belongs. Well, I'm back in the shed again. It's a good thing. Enjoying myself. So nice to actually get back onto my own stuff and do some work. Jobs that have been annoying me, jobs that are on my list, and it's a good feeling. So What I didn't film, because I just wanted to get the work done, was my truss. I have trussed this axle, diff housing, whatever you want to call it. That's done. Now all I have to do is, I've got a bunch of rough stuff things here, steering stop tabs, oil filler, knuckle gussets, things I've had sitting in my little box of goodies for a while from Ruffstuff, and finally putting them into action. As I mentioned, I'm going to do a few crazy little things to this axle to make it as strong as possible for a Toyota 8-inch. Yes, I know it's a small axle. Yes, I know it's weak. When I built the truck originally, I had planned for 35s, not 38.5 mud traps, which I've seen destroy some things. So I'm going to do my best to strengthen it, and hopefully with the combination of the auto and the extra bits I do here, fingers crossed, it lasts a little while at least. Anyways, here is the truss that I've done. Solid on here obviously, and then nice and easy over here, and then sort of just tucked it into here, and still gives me room to put a bump stop mount in here. And this side I'll probably just have to build something up here, whatever, I'll figure that out when it's back in the truck. Really impressed with this machine still. It's XL Arc. Yeah, once I've got it all dialed in, we can put out some pretty good welds, you know. So I'm impressed with it. Value for money definitely there, and it was a huge upgrade from that other one I had, which I think I'd just reached the limits of that welder. I'd outgrown it, and it was time to step up and spend the money. Yes, it was a little bit more expensive, but it was not crazy expensive by any stretch of the imagination. But that, and I'm really enjoying the TIG as well. When I find some time, not very often, I'll sit down and do some TIG practice, and I'm very impressed with that machine as well. They don't sponsor me, just saying. It's hard to find a good welder that is smooth, that is not crazy amounts of money. So yes, here's where we're at. Strength is in there. Obviously, because this is straight, and here is just going mount to mount, there's not actually any heat going into the housing itself. So this side didn't really need to crank it up and pre-bend it. This side, however, I cranked it up a little bit just to allow for the heat, because that's going straight weld all the way down, and then same on the other side. There's a lot of heat to go in here, so very easy for this to crank up. So if you preload it so that it's cranked down, when you weld it, it pulls itself back to straight, thereabouts. So yeah, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it is strong. These are leftover bits of DOM from the Ruffstuff link kit that we had. So it's like a 6mm wall, 1/4 inch for those guys in the US. So if that bends, I will have some serious things to fix, because probably the whole front end will be destroyed. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Alright. So as you've seen, this is all on, but now we have the knuckle gussets. Stop that fella twisting up, and got our upgraded Ruffstuff steering stops on here, which will be good with the hydro steer. And you come along here, there's a great big whopping hole here, because also from Ruffstuff I have, there's like another piece for it, and that gets welded in there. Makes life a hell of a lot easier to get oil in, rather than the stupid little holes that they come with from factory. We are making progress, and it is getting there. That far side is done, and I'm just kind of like working my way from one side to the next. Decided not to bother shaving with the other upgrades that you guys will see when I get onto them soon. I don't have the stuff to do it today. Basically the maximum I could kind of shave off was like 10mm. Being that I've got 38.5 inch tires, and the smallest that'll probably go on here are going to be 37s. It'll be okay. I mean, yeah, 10mm, 12mm, great. That's half an inch. It's like the equivalent of going up an inch in a tyre size, but at the end of the day I don't really need it, so I'm not going to bother. We've already got the armour plate on here, so that should help us slide a little bit. And yeah, strength and simplicity, that's all we need. Getting there. Right, let's get this thing welded in. So that all went pear-shaped. There was fail on fail on fail. Almost got it sorted though. So I welded this in here, and I ignored my usual rules of doing it in quarters. So I put a little bit too much heat in it, so that didn't go to plan. Didn't want to go back in nicely. And because we play in the mud, this is aluminium, the fitting is steel. So because we play in the mud, I thought this is going to be really slippery if we get stuck and we have to get it open or whatever. So I thought, well, I'll grab this fitting here and I'll weld this on, which was all good and well. Until take this out and show you. Made a hell of a mess. So basically what happened was I didn't clean the anodizing off it high enough, and when I was welding all was going well until I got to here and it grabbed a bit of anodizing and arced up and melted this part, which the beauty of working with aluminium is I've just sort of filled it back in, I've overfilled it, and then I can kind of just grind it flat again and we should be good to go. Not the end of the world, but man, I burnt some time getting all this sorted. Stupid idea, I should have left it, but it's good because it gives you a nice viewing hole in here if there's anything wrong, and it's really easy to fill. So that's all good. A little bit on the ugly side, but we can live with it. That's about as far as I got. I seriously burned a lot of time, so I need to cut these off, cut this one off, weld the new steering stops in, and tidy this up and weld the gussets in. Then it's going to be game over. It'll be all done, thankfully. That's enough from me for this episode. I'm going to go put my feet up and relax before work tomorrow and get stuck back into it hopefully during the week. I'll make a bit of a plan for it. Would be nice to disassemble my other axle, get it all put back together and get it back in the truck so I can have it standing on its own 2 feet again. Been a while. And then we can move on to the next job. I'll see you guys on the next episode.